us let us continue. All right, guys. So let's finish off. So continuing with the uh, activities for the purchasing and supply function. Quality decisions, okay? So they need to determine the right quality. And here now they're just giving some more insight to how they go about determining what is the right quality, okay? So obviously the guys in supply and purchasing wouldn't necessarily know too much about the actual technicalities. And this is why they would then lean on whoever's in operations. For instance, if we're running an engineering company, to then obviously provide those specifications in terms of, what is the design of what you're looking for. If it's, for instance, if, let's say you were working in a manufacturing or motor vehicles type of company. And they obviously then need to source certain parts or things to that effect, all right? Then obviously the engineers within that space would then obviously need to provide all those details, right? And then they would then obviously, if we're talking about the marketing function, then there's obviously commercial considerations that need to come into play, all right, in relation to the end user and things of that nature. Then descriptions of quality. So we've already spoken to specifications. Earlier on, I gave examples of standardization. So with certain things, they might be industry standards that need to be met, right? And then finally, I also spoke to the SABS standards and so on and so forth, but I'm sure you get the point. So it's very contextual to what exactly it is that we are trying to purchase for the company, okay? Then control of quality. This is where now the inspections now come into play to assess what we ordered. Is that what we got? That's basically what we're talking about when we're talking about control, okay? Right. Okay, then deciding on purchasing and supply quantities, all right? Need for inventory holding. So this one, I think we've spoken about it at great length. How much should we have in our storage, okay? And what is the most effective volume that we should have? Because there's that whole perplexity of, okay, if we store, then we obviously have a product as or materials as and when we need it. But at the same time, the more we store, the more our storage costs or our holding costs go up. So we obviously need to create or maintain that balance, okay? And there you can see inventory carrying costs, inventory ordering costs. So if we don't store too much product, that means we need to make orders frequently in order to get the relevant inventory in, so that we can execute what needs to be done. I did tell you guys about, what is it called? The efficient something, EOQ, efficient ordering quantity. Yes. Okay. That is something that would probably be used here. All right. So it's literally just a means of identifying how much should we order at any given point in time based off of demand, okay? And based off of the cost of ordering the product, based off of the cost of the product itself, okay? And also the carrying cost of the stuff. Okay, but you guys don't need to know, but I'm just letting you know that's there's actual techniques that are applied in order to establish how much inventory should we hold. All right, so here, inventory control system. So we're using inventory control systems to decide how do we go about our ordering, all right? If we adapt the just in time, have you guys spoken on or learned about the just in time? So just in time, don't hold inventory. So for instance, if we have a catering business, for example, right? Catering business, it's in the name. It means that at events, we obviously supply the food that's going to be eaten. Does that make sense? So for such a business, we don't necessarily need to store carrots and vegetables and meat. We can just order that as and when we actually need it at the event, all right? Especially if we prepare the food at the event. Does that make sense? Okay. So just in time says our supply function needs to be so efficient that we can order things and they will be ready when we obviously need to deliver the service or product. That's your just in time system. Okay. And then here we've got these different systems. But I imagine that in your textbook, they definitely will elaborate further on those respective systems. Yes. So just take a moment to obviously go through that there. Then here they're going on to tell us about the selection and management of suppliers. Here I definitely do not think this is rocket science. So we obviously start with a compilation of a list of suppliers. We then obviously shortlist that initial list by means of obviously saying, do these suppliers meet the relevant standards that we believe our suppliers should? Then shortlist suppliers requested to give a quote or negotiations with them are started. So in other words, we start to engage with them. We tell them what we need. They then obviously provide an invoice or a pro rata invoice or a quote, which would then say, okay, for what you are asking for, this is how much it would cost you. And this is when we would be able to deliver. And these are the payment terms that we're willing to offer you guys, okay? Then based off of that, we obviously look at the quote that is most favorable to us, okay? And then obviously we choose a supplier thereafter. And then we evaluate the performance of the supplier that we chose. Did they deliver on time? Did they deliver what they said they would? And so on and so forth. Okay, right. Let's go on. Then the selection and management of suppliers. So here they're continuing with that. Okay, developing suppliers. So I've forgotten what they call this. Okay, but like economic empowerment through purchasing. Okay, so here we're looking at businesses that obviously meet that BEE standard, all right? And then obviously empowering those businesses. And in South Africa, there's actually incentive to do this because if you are seen as having supported businesses through your supply chain, right? Then obviously when you now are negotiating with other corporates, you are more attractive for them to work with because you also then help their BEE. And so it becomes a whole chain of we want to work with people who are BEE compliant. Okay, so that's an initiative that the government has obviously put in place, all right, to help uplift and build businesses that obviously take off that BEE standard. All right, so I didn't want to go on just yet. So then materials or services not available, no, okay. Long-term relationships. So they're also responsible for maintaining the long-term relationships with suppliers, okay? Assuming these are suppliers that we actually want to continue doing business with. Then pricing decisions, very self-explanatory, okay? Through our homework, our research on the prices that this product or material or service goes for, we're obviously establishing what we should pay, what range we should pay for this product, services, or materials, is it? And then as such, the purchasing and supply function will then decide on which price is ideal or acceptable for us to pay. Does that make sense? Based on the quality and quantity that we are obviously looking to purchase. Okay. Then timing of purchases. Okay. The aim of buying at the right time ensure business is supplied on an ongoing basis, reduce the risk of price fluctuations. Okay, so sometimes you tell a business that, guys, we will buy from you for the next year. Okay, we won't buy from any other suppliers, provided that you're willing to, obviously, to deliver on time, but at the same time, secure this price for us. Okay, so those are the type of negotiations that would be taking place, and then keep inventory holding at an optimal level. Okay, we've spoken about that. Factors influencing the scheduling of purchases. You've got internal and external, and I think they begin to then elaborate on those on the upcoming slides. No, they don't. Okay, so you're going to need to look at those internal and external factors in your textbook. Okay, but again, your supply and purchasing function is one of those where you just need to read, remember the steps and factors to certain processes and so on. Remember, when we say quality, what are we talking about? How do we determine quality, right? When we're looking at price, how do we determine it's a fair price? When we talk about timeliness, what are we looking at? Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is our last slide. They're just looking at the summary. Okay, but we have obviously covered everything pertaining to the key aspects of supply and purchasing. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Nothing. Nada. All right, so we can then obviously close off this segment